Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships for our Tuesday edition video, back with our intermediate player guide series. We've been doing some different videos, or I've been doing some different videos, talking about when to push. The late push, the early push, positioning types of things, and several of the recent intermediate player guide videos. And today I'm going to talk about the early push with a cruiser. In this case, a heavy cruiser being the USS Salem, the Des Moines counterpart, premium counterpart, with some differences. I would say it's the buffer brother of the two, just in terms of being able to have that specialized repair team. Lets you get away with a bit more than what you can get away with in Des Moines, as an example. But I'm not a video today to talk about the two differences. But this is on the EU server, and here we are on Tears of the Desert, or Tears of the Cruisers, as this map is also affectionately known as. And I'm going to talk with you about recognizing when you can push early with a cruiser, and again in this situation it's going to be a heavy cruiser. Now what you're going to see me do here is only because I'm really confident in Salem. It's a ship that I'm confident to push early if an opportunity presents itself, and that's one of the things I think you have to take into consideration. The other thing is how does the enemy team, secondly, is how does the enemy team position on the flank that you might consider pushing early, and thirdly, what are those ships? Are you facing up against, like an example, on your flank that determine whether or not you can do an early push. So one, are you confident in your ship? Two, how's the enemy team positioning? That will kind of give you information whether you do an early push or not. And thirdly, what are those enemy ships that the enemy team has if you're considering to do a push on them? So what's happening here is I'm waiting right now. I'm confident in Salem, okay? So that's the first thing. Number two is I'm waiting and I'm seeing, okay, how's the enemy team positioning? There's a Wisconsin back there, but I don't see any other battleships back there. I'm looking on my mini map. I'm seeing was it 3 or 4 battleships up at A cap? I don't think there's necessarily another battleship back there behind the Wisconsin, or back here behind the Minotaur and the Druid, that would prevent me from making an aggressive push here. And then thirdly, I'm like, well, Druid doesn't have any torpedoes. Minotaur does have torpedoes, but as long as I stay angled and he has a very vulnerable citadel, Salem has improved penetration angles, I can yoink the Minotaur possibly in one salvo. Shimakaze is out wide on sea. Wisconsin has reversed back behind the island, down at, was that G7? Or sorry, not G7, G5. I'm looking, okay, maybe there's someone going to shoot my broadside, so you kind of see me angling it. And we do take a citadel, I think, in Riga. Now we're going to pop our radar. We have been lit Hydra the whole time. They know I'm coming. I'm going to zoom out here. What is Minotaur doing? Oh, switch to armor piercing immediately. Let's get his cheeky side, because we have improved penetration angles, meaning we get the first blood. Switch back to the Druid with our high explosive, these 203s, and there's just nothing he's going to be able to do to deny us that. And so we pick up the double strike. Now, it's not only the Shimakaze, actually there's another enemy destroyer all the way over on the 9 line. But there was no one there to push me from doing this. Now I go ahead and accelerate a little bit more forward here, just as the Wisconsin was about to shoot, because if I didn't, I would be exposing too much side and he would likely get my citadel. So he didn't get any citadels there, and we're gonna reverse him back up. Now the fun thing is, maybe this is the fourth thing, is player behavior if you're going to do an early push. The Wisconsin player, he's reserved. He's sitting back there like he's a heavy cruiser. So I'm like, okay, he's a rather shy battleship player. I don't really feel like he's going to be a strong threat if I push the Druid and the Minotaur. And fourthly was this behavior of the Shimakaze player. He's playing like he's a Harugumo. He's a Shimakaze player who's not afraid to use his guns, which honestly is rather ironic to me. But he's continuing to sit there, and he's going to keep shooting us. I decide, you know, he's kind of stopped and slowed down. We're still getting pins, and he's still shooting. Let's go ahead and keep shooting some more shots here. I've got nothing else to do. We pick up our third kill in taking out the Shimakaze, And now they have that same enemy destroyer that's way out on I-9 and rather irrelevant for us. So now we're going to go ahead and push back up. So in summary, the 4 things to this video, this battle doesn't last very long. One is, are you confident in the ship that your cruiser you're taking to do an early push? Secondly, how is the enemy team positioning on the flank or objective you're seeking to push? Thirdly, what are those enemy ships that the enemy team has? And fourthly, what is the player behavior you're observing? Now, the player behavior is probably among the 3 things I just suggested, as maybe that's the most difficult thing to read, especially if you're a newer player. It's hard to pick up on what exactly is the enemy team doing. You know, here the Wisconsin is being so shy and bashful, he refuses to leave the side of the island. So what happens? Our friendly destroyer, I think it's no, it's not a Yu Yang, what is it? Yeah, Yugamo. He exposes that weakness, that he's just simply able to just ride up and kill the broadside and dump torps into the broadside of that enemy Wisconsin. And the advantages of when we are doing an early push now is that we've collapsed the flank of the enemy team. That's one of the benefits of when you can push early, especially even in a cruiser. And then you're able to really unleash your DPM on the broadsides of said enemy ships. Now here it's fun because you have this whole island chain here on Tears of the Desert that you can utilize on this, how do I want to say this, EFG line. So we can easily do that here. And we'll even be cheeky to see if we can get some citadels, or not citadels, well, we were fishing for citadels, but it's a pretty long way for our 203mm to pin the Petropavlos, since he's kind of more at 15 kilometers away. But then we're going to go ahead and take a downwind position. So enemy team's feeling the pressure of us taking this flanking position. You can actually see they've all been bottled up on that F3, F4 block, which is kind of tends to be you see that quite often, if I'm being honest. And so because of their not desire to push up, I mean, yes, they're down 5 enemy ships, we're down 3, but that's the flank they're strongest on. So now what's going to happen is they're going to kind of stretch themselves out here, so to speak, and one by one start coming back more in towards their spawn, which means we can just sit here and punish them. Now I do respect St. Vincent's guns, so we're going to back up more here and utilize the corner of this island. So we're still, even though we've had a very good start here in the game, we are going to be mindful that we can't push to like super extreme here, as the Bourgogne, our friendly Bourgogne, is doing an excellent job, and he's exposing the flank here too, because that's a strength of the Bourgogne. But I mean, typically speaking, any ship in terms of, you know, we're talking about a destroyer, battleship, or cruiser, if you're able to collapse the flank and work on them, then work them over like we are now, like that really helps put the game into your advantage. So now it's just a matter of continuing to pick off the enemy team players. You can actually see that destroyer player I missed when he died. He already died down in I-9, so he didn't get very far. So despite them having 3 destroyers here, we really incapacitated them severely. So enemy team, what they've done here on the A flank is that they've all had different mindsets. Okay, so half the team's like, let's keep pushing through A. The other half, like this Thunder, the St. Vincent, and the Veneto, like, let's go back to spawn. So they completely tore apart their firepower in half, versus trying to keep it together, because if they're going to play as they did and how we've taken map control, then they need to be able to collectively push together, so to speak. So I'm not only wanting to emphasize what I'm doing in the game, but also talking about, in my opinion, my view of maybe what is some of the things the enemy team could have even done better, critiquing them, not just saying they played badly, but critiquing them, and what could have they done. Because now coming down to the south, the Veneto has put himself in a bad position here, where you have a Shimakaze who's, you know, shadowing him down in H2. You have a Bourgogne continue to push him back, and there's no real place for him to run, where it would have been better if he would have gone up again north through A. So now with Veneto outside of our main battery range, he won't spot us. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to sweep around and see if we can't help with this Wisconsin here. He's taking some hits. I could go ahead and start opening up there, but I felt like he was about to die. And Veneto dies Shimikaze's torpedoes, so Shimikaze using max adrenaline rush. But I wanted to, the reason why I didn't fire on Wisconsin ultimately is because I didn't want to alert the black that I wanted to push in. So I'm hoping for a Kraken Unleashed here. So I didn't want to give away if he saw me shooting or somehow saw me spotted that I was going to be making the play that I make. Go ahead and pick up the Confederate, and that salvos a little drops, but then the Bourgogne picks up the black. So 130k 1,000 game, 31,000 spotting, and just over 500,000 potential damage. So I hope those 4 things I emphasized in this video. I wanted to push early as a cruiser player. Maybe you could say that, hey, there's maybe this 5th thing, there's this 6th thing, but really it's those 4 things overall. So 130,000 damage, 1.4 million credits. We were using some blue XP boosters with the Confederate, Double Strike, and the First Blood. With the 4 kills, that's going to take us into the team score, which we are going to place on 2nd. I was like, I don't think I actually got the first one, I remembered right. The Minotaur did a really good job. The other division did quite decently here. And I was fishing for the Shimikaze here, so when you go to see profile, you get this weird thing where like then the backdrop of the screen's black. So I was just like, why is the Shimikaze gunboating so much? So I just did a little fishing there, and coming back, then you can see, you can see how powerful that AP salvo was on that Minotaur, even though he thought he was angled, but you have improved pin angles, so that's just, you know, a little feature that helps us out. With premium count, all said and done, 1.26 million credits after having spent 92,000 credits. So shorter video for today, not super long, but I hope those 4 things kind of talk about when can you push early as a cruiser player. I think it's the same concept as the battleship early push, which I'll throw at the end of this video. It's not common that I get to push early. Usually, you know, it's minority of battles where I can make an early play, an early push like this, because, you know, ultimately you have to respect if there's a battleship line back behind, you know, the cruisers, the shorter players that you're going up against as a cruiser player, then you want to respect the fact that, you know, maybe you're looking at the high tiers, you tend to see a lot of 406s, 420s, 457s, 510s, right? But the fact that, you know, there was no battleship line to support the destroyer and cruiser player meant that I could completely expose that weakness in deleting those 2 right off the bat. But it is a minority of the battles that I get to make the early push. But you just have to identify those 4 things, and then you'll know when you can make the early push. So that being said, I hope you liked today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. And note that we're getting closer to that 2,000 subscriber giveaway. So between 2,000 subscribers, I'll make a detailed video talking about it. And if you're one of the my Patreon supporters, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we will catch you next time. Take care.